trying to get this to work. Say a prayer. Thank you, Brian. So good to see everyone today on this beautiful fall day. And we have an awesome agenda today. I think each and every one will be very blessed. And I was just telling Kathy and her son, get your tissues ready, because when we highlight Jordan in this video, it brings the tears on, or it does with me. So then we have an awesome speaker. Our very own Mainey is going to give us some woohoo! Help us to have better emotional intelligence. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, Ryan. So we're very, very blessed, and we're going to kick it off with prayer by our very own Dr. Lamar.
Just heard that Mikey is doing well and hopes to be back valeting in the next few weeks. So that's good news. So join me in a spirit of prayer. Eternal God, we give you thanks for this beautiful day outside, for the rain that fell upon us and fell gently, nourished the earth, and it nourished our soul. We give you thanks for the switch now that we're really into autumn. And we give thanks for the blessings of the day. We ask your spirit to be upon us, to bless this club and our work in this community. Bless the food that has been placed before us. Take it to the nourishment of our bodies and keep us then in your peace. In the name of the Christ, amen.
Now we'll be led with the Pledge of Allegiance by our past president, Robert.
Join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we'll enjoy God Bless America. Well, I just noticed that we have our district governor on Zoom. Hello, Max. Good to see you. And I love the background. I'm hopeful that is real and not just a painting. But if that is where you're at, enjoy. Oh, just teasing us.
It's Portland, Oregon. I've been there, but not right now.
Okay, she said it was Portland, Oregon. She's on there, been there, but not there today. But good memory. Thank you. We are moving forward with a highlight. Before we have introduction of guests and the passing of the bucket, we're going to highlight a video featuring our very own social media director, Jordan Alsop. And then we're going to introduce guests and pass the bucket, because we all need to hopefully dig a little deeper, because this is all about our veterans that have come home from fighting for us, helping us to maintain our freedom and our sideways and on the street. And Jordan has a heart for the project of helping them and going out to them. So our newest member, I challenge all of it, our newest member, Josh Canancer, with My Pro Roofing, is contributing, a contribution is $100. He's giving 100. I'm going to match that too. Yes, 3. How many will match this? Because we can bill you for it. 4. Yes, we will add it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It goes for a great cause to help all the people that are sideways on the street to have some pride, to know someone cares, help them to have the opportunity for a shower, clean clothes. And I'll let Jordan continue on, but let's make a difference for all those people. Yes, it sure can. You need to inform Tracy, and she will write your name down and add it on. So thank you, Jordan.
My name is Jordan, and this is my home. For about a decade, I was not a very nice person. I didn't have a purpose at all. And it led to, the disunity of my family. It really brought on a hurt that I didn't know, and I didn't want to look at my own hurt. But I knew that God could use that hurt, and so I just decided to ask God, please show me someone who's hurting more than me. Early in May, after COVID had really began in 2020, my gut wanted to complain to God, but my heart just said, God, what's on your heart? And he said, Isaiah 1:16. And I go look, and sure enough, it says, rescue the homeless, shield the fatherless, defend the widow. I knew that God gave me this idea for just a motorhome. He said, invite your neighbors into our home. Better yet, take your home to our neighbors. And at that moment, I had zero desire to live in a motorhome. But God changed the desire and really changed me. The vision that God had given me was to provide mobile services to people who are in a difficult circumstance, whether it's shower, or haircut, or mani-pedi, or whether it was clothes or food, anything that would help them have that cleanup feeling inside and out. The first time that we served in this motorhome was New Year's Eve of 2020, and it grew very rapidly. Our first month we had 99 in a month, and now we do over 200 every month. There's a prayer that I pray that God, I pray that through the cleaning up on the outside, that you'll clean up on the inside. And I think that's part of how someone begins to feel human again. Every step of this process that God's asked me to do, I'm unqualified to do. I've never owned a motorhome before. I've never cut hair professionally. I've never done any of that. I've never run a nonprofit, but it was just about being obedient. And I spent a long time being disobedient, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so now I'm just really thankful when he asked me to do something. I just want to do it. No matter what it is, I just want to do it.
with the needs.
Yeah, so thank you guys for the opportunity to share about CleanUP and the awesome things that are going on through that. You heard the number 200 that was in there. That's 200 showers that get done every month. We do about 200 haircuts, about 35 to 50 mani-pedis right there on the streets, mainly we focus those towards the women or the children that are out there. We can do special things. But I know that Veterans Day is coming up, and veteran homeless population is one of the things that is on most of the municipalities' heart, and it's definitely on our heart. And so I know that Linda had mentioned that we're going to be doing something. We're going to be making 700 kind of winter kits. They're going to be a drawstring backpack that's going to have socks and beanies and some gloves and some water bottles, some things. Now, yes, we are doing this for our veterans, but just like with everything else we do with CleanUP, everybody in the community is going to get blessed by the one veteran that we go to see in a specific community. That's why we're making 700. Now, veteran homeless population is something that Dallas and Fort Worth specifically are really working to get them into housing. And so even CleanUP, one of the things that we started doing is going into these city-owned apartments and even visiting our neighbors there, still providing the same services. It's no different than if we see you underneath a bridge or if we see you in your apartment, you still need these services. And so we're just grateful for that opportunity. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for reminding us that there are many opportunities to make a difference with people that are less fortunate than we are, but they are just as important. As the Bible tells us, everyone is made with the same honor from God, and we all have a purpose. So help us to follow Jordan and know what our purpose is of making a difference without anyone knowing it. The Bible tells us we gain more blessings. So thank you, Jordan. Okay, so Tracy's coming around, and Tracy can take the money or she can add it on, and our very kind secretary will add it on for us and make sure your contribution counts. Okay, this time we need to highlight the guests that are with us today. Tracy, do you have any guests that we need to recognize? We hope so. Yay. Thank you. We're believing all of the guests will be honored at our next meeting as members. We're having a board meeting following the meeting to approve everyone that has submitted applications. And Lazaro, do you have any updates regarding new members and our networking event?
Thank you. Well, as you guys saw, we are building our table over there. So I want to encourage you guys to also do the same. Bring one guest at a meeting, and all of a sudden you're going to have your own table with your own guests as well. And that's how we are able to then, replicate what we already have in double or memberships, but just inviting a couple guests every time. So I want to encourage you guys to keep on doing that every week. And we want to welcome again Harrison Hernandez being here. He's going to be a member of the Rotary Club. So welcome. Cristina Rodriguez as well with Erickson Dental. She's going to be a member as well. And of course, she's not my invitee, but Terry Oliver as well. She's going to be a new member with the Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club. So it's been, great seeing new faces here. And as we continue to go and do more meetings, I want to encourage the new members as well to look out and see who else we can bring in. So that way 2022 comes around, we have a pretty strong club and we're able to contribute and do more for the community. On December 2nd, we're not going to have a lunch meeting. We are going to have another social type, which it'll be a great opportunity as well to invite new friends to come out. In case they're not able to come during the lunchtime, this will be a great opportunity for them to come and get to know who are the members of the Rotary Club who are looking forward to do great things for this community. That's my report for now, and I'm always around in case you guys have any questions.
Okay, yes. It will be the same from 5 to 7. And it will be labeled as a networking event to bring in new friends, neighbors, as possible new members. However, we will consider it as our holiday networking event too for all members. So we'll make sure it's first class, and anyone you invite will feel very good about attending, and definitely the members. It's all about the members for sure. Okay, John, you had a couple announcements.
I have one announcement, and actually, the district governor, Max, should make the announcement. See if you can get her on audio, because she wants to tell everyone about the Christmas party coming up on December 9th at the Haggard Party Barn in Mainey. So,
excellent.
turn it over to Max.
Well, I don't know if I'll be heard.
Just a second, Max. We're trying to get you dialed in. I'll give a high five when we have you ready.
Ready? Okay, so on December 9th, that's a Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Haggard Barn in Plano, just off 75. We're going to have our Christmas party for Rotary. We're going to bring in some Dickey's barbecue. It's just all going to be social. It's a great opportunity for everybody to get to know the other Rotarians in our district. No formal program, but we are inviting the individuals who are with the various not-for-profits that work to end human trafficking to also be there, so that in conversation they can share what they do. And where oftentimes at Christmas parties we encourage the bringing of a toy or something like that, what we're encouraging this time is to bring something that can be helpful at one of the shelters that women are brought to after they've escaped human trafficking, and or contributions to these organizations. So that's what we have. You'll see more information in our district newsletter. You should have already gotten a heads up on it this week, but thanks for the opportunity to let everybody know.
All right, now for the fun part. Yeah, you noticed something changed, right? All right, everybody, it is with great excitement that I introduce a speaker that we pretty much all know. But Ryan Mainey is one of our beloved members. He's also really, really ridiculously good looking, as you know, we might get from a certain movie. Ryan is also dedicated to helping medical staff, and especially doctors and physicians, you know, make sure that they don't burn out, to help them stay in the medical field so they can continue serving us. He has a servant's heart, and he also is one that can get nerdy about emotional intelligence. So without further ado, I'm going to invite my friend and colleague, Ryan Mainey, to speak to us.
Thanks, Beth. Appreciate that. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Very excited to talk with you guys for just a few minutes about emotional intelligence, and something that's near and dear to my heart. And I think it's really fitting for the month of December, being that this is Rotary Foundation Month. And our foundation does amazing things to spread understanding
to spread good health, goodwill, and spread education. And so whenever you're ready, Jordan, if you could pop the slide up there. Over the next 15 minutes, what I'm going to talk about is really just going to share a few things on what is emotional intelligence, why it matters so much. And then I'll give you some different tips. You can go to the next one, 15 minutes. There we go. Clarify what's at stake. And then most importantly is just to give you guys an example of a tool, one of the many tools and strategies you can use for emotional intelligence to really leverage it in a positive way. And so if you can go to the next one for me. So what's the big deal with emotional intelligence? All right, so what? The best way to really address that question is to ask yourselves a couple of questions. You can go to the next one for me. So has anybody ever had a moment where you walked away from something and you're like, why did I say or do that? Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing some nods, right? Have you ever forgotten something in a rush? Yes, absolutely. Have you ever maybe walked away from a moment and then you thought like, oh, why didn't I say that when I was there or when that person was talking? So those are all experiences where emotions got the better of us and they took away from what we could have been in those moments. All right. And that's exactly what emotional intelligence is about. So Daniel Goleman actually put emotional intelligence on the map with his book in '95, but he started the research far before it, just looking at how do emotions impact performance. And he looked at not only professional athletes, but he looked at corporate leaders, business leaders, and people that are at the top of their field to really understand the difference between the two. And what he really found out is that it has nothing to do with IQ. It has nothing to do with the technical skills. He says at a point, your IQ and technical skills are a barrier to entry to become a doctor, a lawyer, to become a professional athlete. But once you're in those fields, the differentiators of those who are successful and those who stay at the same level, they really bear down to non-IQ and non-technical, which is emotional intelligence. And so what I think is fascinating is when he did the research, he actually found that 90% of those factors that contribute to somebody being successful in ascending in an organization or in a sport were contributed to emotional intelligence. The other 10% are split evenly between IQ and technical skills. And so what it means is that those soft skills and how you interact with your emotions makes a difference in terms of ascending in performance. You can go to the next one for me there, Jordan. Thank you. So I want to clarify, right? So emotional intelligence is really, to clarify it, is the way to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, as well as the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. So really, it's accepting the fact that we are all emotional people, and emotions drive behaviors. And those behaviors impact us as well as others. And that's really the premise of what emotional intelligence is. And in that simplicity is where the complexity comes up. And I want to share, perfect, Jordan, this slide. We spend a lot of time talking about the brain and why emotions matter. And emotions matter not just because, okay, that person's emotional, they can't make a good decision, or that person's like a robot and I can't connect with them. It really has to do with our physiology. So if you look at the frontal lobe of the brain, right, the big part on the front, that's where all of our learned skills are. So everything from the golden rule on the playground, all the way up to what we learned at Harvard or in our college degrees, or what we've learned in relationships and performance and so forth. All of that sits in the neocortex. All of that brilliance is right there. And if you look at the little dot about the size of a walnut, right there between the neocortex and your spinal cord, that's called the amygdala. It's kind of a fun word to say. Everybody say amygdala. Say, yeah, you sound brilliant. You sound brilliant by just saying it. You sound like brain scientists. So what's fascinating about the location of the amygdala's purpose is your emergency warning system. The amygdala keeps us safe. It's important from a physiological standpoint because in the event that we are under stress or under attack, in our very primitive sense, we can't have our thinking mind asking questions. I'll give you an example. Let's say we're, Neanderthals and we're walking down to the river to get water, and we hear a rustle in the bushes, and all of a sudden a saber-toothed tiger jumps out. In that moment, we don't want our thinking mind going, those are some really big teeth. I wonder what he does with those teeth. Boy, look at those claws, but what a beautiful fur. That might be warm. You don't want your thinking mind in that moment. So the physiology of the brain, that amygdala, sends an alert, and it says, hey, I'm going to send all these chemical mediators into your body so that you can either fight, pick up a rock and fight, or you can take off and run. That's what the emotional hijack is for. So the purpose of the amygdala is very basic, and it keeps us alive. And while we're not fighting off saber-toothed tigers and dragons and stuff now, we're fighting off stressors all the time. And those stressors fire off that amygdala and they interrupt, they send those chemicals into the body. A very simple example is children maybe throwing a fit, and they're going to hold their breath until they get their way, right? So they're going to hold their breath for a moment, and they're going to hold it as long as they can. Eventually, the amygdala is going to say, well, listen, kid, your thinking mind has a great idea, but it's not a great idea. So I'm going to shut you down, and the child passes out. When they pass out, they actually start breathing because the amygdala is under control at that point. So it's not something when people say, oh, they have to be unemotional or too emotional to be successful, it's a total fallacy. We're all emotional people. And the purpose of emotional intelligence is not to be robotic, but it's to understand how emotions happen and then understand the physiology so you can interrupt it. And so with the hijack, and the thing that's important with the hijack and the amygdala is it doesn't determine what's real or not real. So you can fool it, okay? So because where the amygdala is, it's only perceiving things, and so that's how it's going to react. So it doesn't care if it's real or imagined. I want to prove it to you, okay? So I want you guys to close your eyes and visualize for a moment, all right? I want you to visualize a beautiful porch on a spring day. Right outside that porch is this big lemon tree. It's blooming, it's beautiful. There's a nice little summer breeze coming by, and you reach up and you grab one of those lemons, okay? You can feel the rind of that lemon in your hand. You feel the limb kind of bust back after you pull it off, and you grab this little pocket knife right there on the windowsill, and you take and you cut the lemon rind, and the juices start to flow out onto your hand, okay? And then you pull that lemon apart, and you can smell that lemon scent. It smells clean and beautiful, and then you hold it up to your nose, you get that scent, and you take a big bite. Okay, did anyone salivate a little bit, or maybe get a little twinge? Okay, so the thing is that your amygdala in your body, your brain perceives things all the time. And so you can trick your body and your brain into what's going on. What's important to understand from an emotional standpoint is that the biggest threat that we have right now is pressure and stress. And so your amygdala is going to interpret those things and it's going to react appropriately. And so what I want you to do now, if at the table, if you have 4 markers in front of you, I want you to hold those markers. And for those of you who are virtual, grab 4 pens off your desk, and I want you to hold them in your hand. When I talk about losing access to that frontal lobe, what I want you to visualize is that frontal lobe is holding all these unique ideas. Those pens represent 4 different unique ideas that you've learned over the years, all right? And so if we're calm and we're relaxed and we're in the moment, we have access to all 4 of those, right? All 4 of those are unique ideas. Go to the next slide for me, Jordan. So for those math geeks out there, if you have 4 different unique ideas, how many unique combinations of those 4 do you have? 24, right? There you go, 4 factorial. And so in the event that I get stressed or triggered and that emotion, my amygdala fires off, whether somebody cut me off in traffic, or maybe somebody said something rude about my shoes, or whatever, or maybe somebody's late to a meeting, okay? If I trigger, what happens next? You can go to the next slide for me, Jordan. What happens, and if you're holding those pens, I want you to drop one of them. Drop one. You've gone from 4 wonderful, amazing, unique ideas to 3. Now, many people think, okay, that's just a 25% reduction. I can still be awesome in that moment, Ryan. Well, actually, what you've gone from is from 24 down to what? 6, right? And that's an example of how you lose access to some of that frontal lobe. And then if we continue to stay emotional and we stay irritated or pissed off or frustrated about that moment, we go ahead and drop another marker. Now we're down to 2, right? And so you can see how this cascade starts to affect what you have access to in those moments, right? And then if you stay irritated, go ahead and drop one more. All of a sudden you're down to a very primitive binary reaction, which is fight or flight, okay? And so the purpose of the analogy is to see what's at stake. You've gone from 24, and of course the brain can process way more, but just for the sake of the analogy, I just did 4, right? So it just gives you a sense of what's at stake if we let our emotions get the best of us, all right? And then, so you think of not only how you can be your best in those moments by just understanding your emotions and staying in the game, but also the impact to teams. If I'm irritated, I might say something snide or sassy to somebody next to me, and then all of a sudden they've dropped a marker, right? So the key to emotional intelligence really is to understand that emotions happen. We're not unemotional people. We are all emotional people, but we want to understand what triggers us. And if we understand what triggers us, then we can interrupt that process. And I'm going to give you, as promised, I wanted to give you an example of what a hijack looks like so you can sense it when it happens. So you'll know you're hijacking if you get flushed, or like you feel kind of like the sudden rush of blood, maybe to your face or to your heart. You hear people, like if I were to call on somebody right now and say, hey, give me a speech, and turn the camera on you, some of us might go, oh, right? You get like this flushed sense, you'll get tension. That's your body, that's your brain sending different chemical mediators in your body to keep you safe, okay? And when you're watching others, you can observe when they're getting triggered. Now, some can be very obvious if they're being triggered, correct? But you can also observe very subtle signs of somebody being triggered. They might lean back, they might get a little tense, they might shut down, or they might be aggressive. So those are all signs that somebody is triggered. And bottom line is not for you to understand the chemistry of their brain, but it's to realize if they're triggered, I'm not going to get the best out of them. They're not going to bring all of their faculties and great ideas to this meeting or moment, right? So what I want you to understand about emotional intelligence is if you feel that hijack, all right, and those chemicals are flowing through your body, it's going to take, you have two choices. Either wait 20 or 30 minutes for those chemicals to diffuse through your body, or you can put a sock in it. And the sock is the analogy I wanted to give you guys today. This is a very simple tool that can help you re-engage that thinking mind if you find yourself in a triggered state, okay? The first S and the O are pretty simple. Stop and take a breath. All good things in your body and in your brain happen with oxygen. Cutting oxygen out of your system is a bad idea, okay? So the first two things is stop and take a nice deep breath. Second is chemical combat. So just like when you're triggered, your amygdala is releasing chemicals in your body to fight or flight. There's also chemicals that can dissipate in chemical warfare in that sense, that can actually diffuse those chemicals and get you back into your thinking mind. And I'll tell you about that in a second. But the main thing is once you get those chemicals going, then you want to keep looking for information. Your logical mind likes to be curious. That's the important thing. So I want to give you an example of chemical combat. And this is a key to really re-engaging yourself if you do find yourself in a triggered state. Chemical combat is the simple fact that your brain cannot process fear and gratitude at the same time. So fear or just, that feeling of unsafety and gratitude are very, very different. And your body emits different chemicals in response to that. Gratitude is not just a happy place. Gratitude is a moment in your life that when you think about it, you get chills. Like whenever I talk about this, I get chills because there's moments that I think about when I practice this technique that I instantly get chills about. Because it sends this wave of serotonin and different chemicals through your body. So for you, each of your stories will be different. But think of a moment in your life that you're incredibly grateful for. It might have been when you married your spouse. It might have been when you had your first child. It might be a huge accomplishment in your career. But I guarantee you it'll take you longer to write that moment down or to tell a friend than for you to feel the chemicals released through your body. Many of you are probably thinking about it right now and you're probably feeling it. So that's an important piece of re-engaging if you find yourself triggered or frustrated where you feel like you're not fully in the moment. Stop, take a breath, think about that moment of gratitude, and then re-engage and start thinking about it. And so those are the two things I wanted to give you today in this short talk about emotional intelligence, is to know and understand what triggers you so that you might be prepared for those. If you do find yourself triggered, just put a sock in it. All right. Thank you very, very much, anybody. Thank you.
Well, I really enjoyed that presentation, just reminding us that we're all human, right? Put a sock in it. I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, next week, no meeting, reminding everyone it's Veterans Day. So today we've made a large contribution to help, but also get out and support the activities and veterans in your life. A board meeting will follow this meeting today. Our next meeting will be November the 18th, and that's when we're going to put together those backpacks and help Jordan out with going out and helping others. I think that's it, unless anyone has an announcement. What's up? Okay, Lazaro.
The Irving Circus Trot is on Thanksgiving at CleanUP Music Factory. We're gonna go through about 8 miles of road through the lakes. We'd love to have the Rotary Club, those available kind of in the morning. We're gonna have a lot of areas throughout the race route, like the Mustang, around Lake Carolyn, that I need some direction. And I thought, you can help from the Rotary Club kind of back to the people. We're projecting about 1,800 participants for this race. So it should be a very big event. So if you guys are available, next time I'll have a sign-up sheet that if you coordinate your schedule, I can then take that down. And then by the time the next meeting time, I can have some areas where it would be great for you guys to be. It will be, so the volunteer time would be from about 7:30 in the morning till about 10 in the morning. So pretty quick, and then you can go home if you're not cooking. Go home. That's it. And I get them around in case you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Lazaro. Yes.
One announcement, so our Irving Cares, well, actually not Irving Cares, it's a joint effort. So Christmas in Irving is happening on November 27th. I'll pass these out so you guys have copies of these at Las Colinas Club. It's free. Everybody's invited to have Christmas in November. They'll be demonstrating modeling some of the Christmas trees. We put some bids on those. All you have to do is RSVP to Jeff, our colleague from the morning Rotary Club. But everybody's invited. I'll leave a bunch of these invitations. Again, November 27th at Las Colinas Club.
Excellent. Kathy? Kathy? Oh, you were going to visit about the same thing. Okay. Well, you also have cards out about our recognition for our volunteers and helpers with the flag program.
We're going to have a recognition for all the Boy Scouts, the teams that put out the flags and pick up the flags and their leaders, and take a picture of their group, and they get a badge for their uniform or whatever. And this year we're giving away, we have a big group of kids who are not taking our money. They are donating their money back to us, and they are 24 hours of service for their school. So we will be giving them certificates to prove that they work X number of hours on certain flag days and so forth for their school records. And that's new this year. So
That's awesome.
Kids there hopefully with their leader, Muhammad, who's been Rotary a couple times.
Thank you, Kathy. Tremendous. Okay, at this time, our Director of Youth Service, Val Mozart, will lead us in our four-way test. Thank you, everyone, and have a blessed day.